Awesome. Hey, everybody. I am so excited. I'm here with Donny, and we're going to chat a little bit about mindfulness. Donny is one of the mindfulness leaders that I really look up to. I don't know if I've told you this story before, but when I first started doing yoga and meditation, I hated it. And you had this really genuine and authentic take on mindfulness at a Lululemon class. And, it was a seed that got planted in my brain, and it's brought me to where I am today.
Wow,
so,
that's amazing.
yes.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so it's really fun to be here with you today, and thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and share with others.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. So I wanted to talk with Donny because it's Mindful March, and mindfulness is a huge part of my life now. And through the Love Your Brain Foundation, we use mindfulness to help people with traumatic brain injury to develop resilience from stress and adapt. So I know, Donny, that your story has involved a lot of transformation, and in our conversation together, yoga has literally helped you create the life that you live today. So I know this is a big question, but how did you get there?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. Let's
Really
make the Cliff Notes version of this amazing journey. So I started doing yoga. I was in a previous life played baseball in college. To make a longer story short, had a pretty traumatic knee injury. I had a cadaver transplant of my meniscus. That's on my left knee. I was the first person in Arizona to ever have this surgery. The doctor told me that if all went well, it would be like having a new knee and I'd be back playing baseball. But the day I woke up from that surgery, I knew baseball was over for me. So from that day and many years after, my world actually got turned upside down from a life of an addiction to prescription pills. And that went on for many years until my life got so bad. I went to rehab, and in rehab I started to get really interested on what the heck had happened to my life, going from this baseball player star to a drug addict. Where did it all go wrong?
Yeah.
Looking back at everything, it was that I had lost. I lost the love of my life. I lost baseball. I lost my purpose. I lost the only thing I ever knew, and so I didn't want to feel the emotional pain. I had major trauma to the knee, but at its core, when I stopped blaming the doctors and really looked at what happened, it was the emotional pain I didn't want to feel. So I numbed it every day for many years and partying and taking pills. So at my rock bottom, my mom was doing yoga here in Phoenix. I always say she was doing yoga before yoga was cool. But she kept saying, Donny, you need to go to yoga. And I would tell her every time, yoga's for girls and hippies. I'm not doing that stuff.
That's something that I hear constantly. And so what was the shift for you?
Well, I finally went. I finally went to a class. It was like a gym yoga class. And I knew I got in there and started doing some of the stretching. And I knew I would do yoga the rest of my life. The reprieve I got in my low back and my hips from favoring my left leg for so long. 20 years I was favoring my left leg. Wow. My knee was bad in high school and I just kept playing. Yeah. And so my right hip, it took a toll on it, my low back. So the stretching I was getting, I was like, oh my God, I knew I would do it the rest of my life from a physical standpoint, but little did I know what it would do for the mind and the soul. So you can thank my mom. She's the one that got me into yoga.
That's so cool. Yeah. Thanks, Donny's mom.
Yeah.
So what was that process like for you, going from your very first yoga class and feeling the physical benefits? When did you start to shift into the spiritual benefits? And I'm guessing that you had an awakening of sorts. To realize that you were numbing the emotional pain and all of that. Yeah,
so through the 12 steps in sobriety, I found a lot of that out in therapy and all the personal development that's tied into getting sober. From the yoga, so I knew I was going to do yoga the rest of my life, so I wanted to go to teacher training, but I didn't necessarily know if I was going to teach. I just wanted to learn the anatomy, the lineage, learn everything about it, because at this point I'm drinking the juice and love yoga and practicing every single day. And a week into teacher training, I was like, I'm going to teach. I'm going to quit my corporate job and I want to teach full time. Yeah. And I thought I was going to do that and kind of had a reality check and had to slowly work into that. But teacher training was the first seed. So going on this amazing spiritual journey through the teacher training was the first part of it. And then the second piece for me as a teacher and finding my voice and finding my purpose had to do with just going to Sean Korn's Off the Mat Into the World leadership training. And that really transformed yoga. I say she's the one that made yoga make sense for me from a mind-body connection. And that it was so much more than just a physical practice. And I needed to teach something beyond the physical practice. Because there was people here in Phoenix and Scottsdale showing up and on the outside looking like they've got it all. But I knew on the inside that they were dying. And so, Sean asked the question, how dare we not? And so I say this all the time, and I credit her because those were the words that really changed my life and really stopped and put me in check. Like, how dare I not share something more than just the physical practice? And so I had that question, and I took her class at a Wanderlust festival in Aspen, the first time I ever went to Wanderlust. Talked to her after class. She told me about this leadership training that was a month later in Minnesota. I went to it, and she asked the question again in one of our sessions, and this time it was, how dare I not share my story? So the people closest to me knew about my addiction and my recovery, but not everybody. So we were tasked with creating a service project, go back into our community, and I created something called Sunday Yoga Service. And it was a community class that we did once a month. We raised the money for Sean's organization. And in the first one we did, I shared my story. And from that day, everything changed. Everything I was so afraid of, like, what are people going to think? Like, my past, I say, used to bury me in guilt and shame, but today it really is my best asset. And once I shared it, like the messages I was getting about the first one that I did, I got a message from a lady that same day, and she said how that message helped her heal. She had just lost her husband a month before to alcoholism. I was like, oh my gosh, like everything I was so afraid of, people judging, people not liking me or whatever it was, like this is what I've been supposed to be sharing.
Yes, and I just want to pause there for a second, because like that is a point that I hope that everyone can take away from this. The things that we feel so much shame about on the inside, and what will people think if they know this thing about me? For me, my traumatic brain injury brought all of those things to light, helped me to see, okay, I'm hiding in my real life, and I built these walls up around myself. And so I just want to take a second and just let that soak in for people, because we often think we need to not talk about the real things and not have the difficult conversations, and the impact it can have on others when you do share those difficult things can really change lives. So anyone out there who is struggling and going through something, I really hope that this story from Donny inspires you. I know I'm so inspired to hear it too. And so thanks for letting me pop in and say that.
Yeah.
I just felt people really need to take that away.
Yeah, if there's a message that I could get through, I mean, that would be one of my main ones, that really you're only as sick as your secrets, and that your mess is your message. And if you're a teacher or you're trying to influence or lead in any way, people want to relate.
Yeah.
They want to know that you're human and not some, like, first of all, being perfect is an illusion. It's fake. It's not even real, and nobody can relate to it.
Yeah.
And people want to relate. If you're a teacher or a speaker, like, they're going to resonate with you on an emotional level. They've got to be able to relate.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool if you're leading anything, and if it's workshops or personal development or yoga, and you're sharing vulnerable. Well, it's not vulnerable to me anymore to share this. People might on the outside think it is, but it was part of my story.
Yes.
Getting up on stage and speaking is still being vulnerable, but what I'm talking about is just who I am today.
Yeah.
So it might look vulnerable, but what it does, it gives other people permission to activate and start to share whatever's going on with them.
Absolutely, and that is so powerful. And I think what I love about Lululemon the most is a community that's created through sharing, through connection, through sweating together, and through personal development. So I know that Lululemon's been a big part of your journey. It's been a big part of mine. And can you tell me about some of the opportunities you've gotten through Lululemon and your ambassadorship?
Yeah, where do I begin? I mean, I fell in love with personal development because of Lululemon. I think within the 12 steps and getting sober and working with other men, that's all personal development. Yeah. But to see it packaged up the way that Lululemon, and I remember going to one of the first pilot purpose and practice sessions. It was a one-day one, and Danielle Nagel was leading it. And I sat there and I was like, I want what she has. I want to be what she's doing. I want to connect with her. I want her to be my teacher, like everything, the way she carried herself. Smart, funny, tons of wisdom, and an amazing teacher and facilitator.
Everything that you are.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I just looked at it, I'm like, I want what she has, and I stayed connected to her. And a year and a half later, I'm leading Purpose and Practice with her, and I just led a retreat with her. We did our own thing up in Sedona, and she's become one of my best friends and my teacher and an inspiration. So yeah, getting to lead Purpose and Practice is like one of the coolest things. Getting to attend was amazing, and now getting to lead. Yeah. And it started where I was just doing the yoga and the meditation piece of it. And Danielle's great at really pushing you out of your comfort zone and being able to facilitate and get up there and dance on stage and do things that, like, I'm not always so comfortable with. And so today I get to teach the yoga, the meditation, and facilitate. And that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Just to wrap up, what would you say to someone who is on the fence, like you used to be, of knowing that, they should go to yoga, or they could, or maybe their mom is giving him a hard time and telling him to get to yoga. What would you say
I
to
would
that
say
person who might be watching right now?
I would say just go, keep an open mind, connect to your breath. Don't worry about the physical part of the practice. Just connect to your breath and let your breath take you on the journey. And I say yoga saved my life. I truly believe that. Beyond, there's one of our dogs barking, but one of our, so beyond just the physical part of it though, we were talking about how the people yoga has brought into my life. This is so much more than just a physical practice. In fact, the physical is just a small piece of this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So give me a couple examples of the people that yoga's brought into your life.
Geez, well, I was just at the Super Bowl, and the reason I was at the Super Bowl was because of yoga. Because one of my students, who's become my friend, Tyrann Mathieu, who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, brought me and my girlfriend to the game. And so
cool.
it was important for him to have the right people with the right energy around him. And he has a similar story to mine, where he got into some stuff in college and was, getting arrested and failing drug tests, and he completely changed his life around, and his mess has become his message. And so we've really just bonded through that. And I got to go to the Super Bowl.
That is, who would have thought going to yoga would one day get you to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
It's insane. The people that it's brought into my life, it blows my mind every single day. The experiences where I've got to travel. I met my girlfriend through yoga. So I have so much to be grateful for. And yoga will give you so much more than just a good stretch. So if you're on the fence, just lean in, say yes, and keep an open mind, and your heart will bust wide open.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
And I know that I'm so inspired from this conversation and from getting to spend a little time with Donny this afternoon. I'm going to share where you can find Donny to connect with him, whether it's online through some of his programs or the free resources he has on his website, or whether it's in person at a retreat or a class. And I'm just so grateful, Donny, for you, for sharing your message, for having that initial bravery to just do it and help other people to heal, because that is such an important part of just the human connection. So thank you for doing all of that, and thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me. And everything you said, you're doing all the same stuff. And so I want to acknowledge you back for all the amazing work you're doing and how you've turned your mess into your message and can help others. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of freedom, and it's the reason why we're sitting here chatting today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.